Happy to be back. Welcome to Walking Against the Current. Welcome tonight, everybody. Welcome to Walking Against the Current.
What's up?
Thank you. Shout out to my granddaughter, who is our camera girl. She is always jumping on and getting us started. So welcome tonight, everybody. Welcome back to Walking Against the Current. I was about to say welcome against the current. How was your day?
Had a great day. What about yourself?
It was really good. I mean, busy as always, but good and blessed as always. I thank God for life, health, and strength. I thank God that you guys are tuning in tonight. Please like, share, comment. We love your comments. And we're going to dive right in. But before I dive in, I'm going to ask you, you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm just, it's a blessing and an honor to be here before you all, as always, each and every time. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tapping in. Please make sure y'all like, share, hit highlights, hit at followers. Let's get this message out there across the world. We got y'all on here on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok Live. So what's up?
All right. Welcome to all three platforms. So let's get in it tonight. Tonight we're talking about things that people whisper in the quiet moments. I wish I would have. Then I should have said. And then finally, why didn't I? So let's talk about life. Let's talk about, I'm just joking. I was going to say something. Let's talk about life, the life you didn't live and why. I kind of wanted to jump in tonight into relationships first. I think I have 3 core things I want to discuss. And I wanted to jump into relationships because I think everybody that's tuning in can identify with that. You know, I wish I could have loved better. I should have let go sooner. I should have left sooner. Blah, 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 blah. So let's jump right in. Yeah, right? I mean, here's some of the things I want to discuss tonight. And I want you to jump into. And just being transparent tonight, you know, we've all been through relationships, so we really want your input. Staying too long in the wrong relationship, not expressing love when you had a chance. Oh my God, yeah. Letting ego ruin something real. Choosing comfort over connection. Now that's one that I think a lot of people can identify with. Choosing comfort over connection, because a lot of times people stay in relationships because it's comfortable, it's easy, and they're just used to it, but they're not necessarily happy. So, you know, I can definitely agree with that. You know, in my life at times, I won't say no special relationships. At times that has been my story. When things are comfortable, it's just easier sometimes to stay. And then the question is, why do, you know, we'll say I stayed because it was comfortable, but really, is that what we should be doing? You know, I guess we have to wait tonight. Should we stay in relationships because it's comfortable, or should we just get out to be happy? That's a question that I want to ask tonight. And I guess I'll start off with you.
Okay, what's the question?
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Hold on. Had to flag my hair back a little bit. Excuse me, y'all. I had my little moment. Do you feel that a lot of people are staying in relationships because it's comfortable?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's and do you think they should stay in relationships because it's comfortable, or should we chase happiness?
I think that is a two-folded question, right? Because it depends on what is the circumstances. It depends on relationships, as far as friendships, or like.
Oh, I'm talking about boy, girl.
Okay.
Or girl, boy, whatever. Okay.
Well, I think it depends on the dynamics of what's going on. Many people stay because of finances. Many people stay because of children. Many people stay because, like you said, of convenience, right? And it's one of those situations to where I think it's a case-by-case basis that you have to identify and kind of weigh the scale of happiness versus convenience and comfort. Because as we talked about before, in the older generation, many people stay because of convenience, because of finances, because of the children. and they didn't really live the life, a purpose-driven life, or a life that they felt was fulfilled, because it was like, well, hey, I have to stay with this man because we have 10 kids or 5 kids, or, back in the days, the woman didn't work, versus nowadays, the females is like the leading the generation as far as, education and finances.
Girl power.
Girl power for
Girl
sure.
power.
But I think it's case by case. I do think people should choose happiness. People should choose peace, clarity, because those things you can't replace.
Yeah, and life is constantly moving. I don't want to say the wrong confession that life is short, because I don't want to ever confess that, because I am shooting for a long, healthy, prosperous life. But I will say that life is constantly moving, and time doesn't stop for anybody. So I definitely will say to that question, I'll ask myself, or answer it myself. I will say that I feel that it depends where you are in your life. I do think that sometimes your age has a significant part in this, because I think as you get older, you realize how precious time is. I don't think you realize that when you're younger. We take time for a joke at times, but as you get older, you start to see more, you experience more, and you understand the importance of time. So I think now I really value my time and what I do with it. And so I would say that now I will definitely choose my peace and happiness over convenience. And now, because I understand that, hey, I want to be happy. I understand how important time is. And I don't want to waste 2, 10, 20 years being miserable just for the sake of convenience. So now I definitely would say to that question, I would choose my happiness and peace.
Yeah. So going back to relationships, right? Like we're talking about, what do you do when, you are the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the husband or the wife, and now it's like, hey, we have kids, or we have investment properties, or we have things together, but we're not happy, right? Or a situation to where it's like, hey, I want to be happy, or she want to be happy, or he wants to be happy. Like, what do you do? How do you, being a woman of experience, being someone who went through a divorce after 25 years, right? Like what was that process for you, dissecting that when you have a house, when you have cars, when you have children, and you have things together, and you've been with someone for so long, but after a while, it's like, hey, we both want to choose happiness. We both want to choose peace. Like, what does that conversation look like for those out there maybe going through something like that?
I think it's a tough decision when you have the children, obviously, because most children want mom and dad to be together, and then most studies will show that they, even the scriptures, that relationships, two-part families, two-family household is more successful. But I think there's so many logistics that go with that, and just in my experience, I definitely was on that thought. I was definitely, during the time when my children were younger, I would definitely say that I was very religious. I had a very religious mindset. So in my religious mindset, it was telling myself all the time, with, people kind of banging it in my head with the hammer of life, bang, 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 to say that, in a real marriage, it's long suffering. And when you read those type of scriptures, at least when I read them, it was like, no matter what I'm going through, it's long suffering, and I need to, suffer long. Did I? So I think at that time that was in my mind. Also, with my children being in my mind, I felt like I was going to fail my children if I would divorce their dad, because I felt like, oh my goodness, they're not going to have a dad anymore. So also I thought about, just the common things, like you said, the bills and your assets and things that you're not used to doing. I mean, there was a song called I'm Catching Hell by Natalie Cole. Shout out to that song. When you don't think about the things like the bills all the time, and you don't think about taking out the garbage, you don't think about mowing the lawn. Those are the things I didn't think about. So I stayed probably a little longer than I should have, because I was compromising my peace and my happiness. And I would say now to myself, opposed to Elizabeth at 20, well, I won't say 20, I was happy in my 20s. Well, I'll say Elizabeth in maybe her 40s, I would say, get out, girl. And understand that your children are going to be okay, because you're going to love and cover them. Your children, I feel now, are probably a little more, if you can be in a healthy relationship and you're at your best yourself. Because I think when you're not happy, you can't be the best parent. I
Mm,
feel like when I wasn't happy, I snapped at my kids the wrong way sometimes. I made decisions in my emotions at times because I wasn't my best self.
mm,
So now when I look back at that, if I had been more peaceful, more calm, breathing more, I would have been more a better parent in that essence, because I think I would have been able to talk things through opposed to yelling things out of frustration, because I did a lot of yelling. I think those things are harmful to children. You know what I mean? So I would say that, weigh it. Like you said, you have to weigh it. But if I had to speak to my 40-year-old Elizabeth opposed to my 50-something-year-old
50
Elizabeth,
what? I was
50
playing. I was
something,
playing.
I would say, yeah, for your children's sake, get to a place where you're healthy so I can parent more effectively and more peacefully.
Mm, I like that. I like that. You know, clap it up for her, right? So let me ask you this: what damage, if there's damage, does that cause for staying too long in a relationship that has issues? Whether the issues is fighting, whether it's arguing, whether it's financial, whether it's infidelity, whatever the issues may be. If those issues are causing both parties to have friction and can't live in a in a harmonious environment for the children, right? And if you don't have children, maybe it's your dog, right? I'm just playing. But if you have children, and speaking to you as someone who's been through that, right? What is the damage, if any, does it cause by staying too long versus leaving? I don't want to say too soon, but leaving when the time is right.
I would definitely say anger, bitterness, is trapped inside because your inner peace is not there. So I think for me, I would breed anger, and it was in my heart though. I didn't necessarily, show it to the world, but the people in my household dealt with anger.
Mm,
So, I mean, I think that was the damage that I did to my children. I think because when you're yelling all the time and you're frustrated all the time and you're not in your happy place, I think the damage was I actually created some angry children, at times. I think my children snapped differently and they didn't know how to deal with, walking away and really curving our tongue in the moment. I think sometimes we just lash out because we're
mm-hmm,
constantly trying to protect ourselves. So I think that kind of bred some type of, anger issues and not really knowing how to deal with life pressures in a healthy way. So I think that would be the damage for my children. And it's for me, I lost who I was as a person and a woman because I feel like I stopped being myself in the sense that I love art and poetry and things like that. And for years, I didn't do that. I stopped doing that. I stopped writing poetry. I stopped going out. I stopped living life. I just was a mom, a wife, come home and go to work. So
mm.
I think that I lost myself. So that was a damage. I mean, I'm rediscovered now and I'm brand new, thank God for his mercy. But I think I lost a lot of who I was as a woman and as a person.
Mm. Yeah, that's profound. And shout out to everybody in the comments. We got Bishop Rose in the comments. We got Angie in the comments. We have Lynetta, my boy Dewan. We have so many people in the comments, man, tapping in. Thank y'all for being in the comments.
Can I read that one?
Which one?
This one here.
Happiness is temporal.
Yeah, I think that's what it says. And I guess that's true. Nobody's gonna ever be happy. So all the time, it's it's stages in life.
Yeah. So that's true because I think many people stay in relationships because of convenience, because of your title, because
Yeah.
of situations, because of what society deem you should be, right? And it's really hard when you have like a political type of background, whether you're in politics, whether you're in law enforcement, military, pastoral type of roles. Just there's so many roles I think people stay in relationships because of what society may deem
Right.
like,
Oh yeah.
oh, this is a failure, right?
Yeah.
I
Oh
know
my
even
God.
for me, now just being transparent, right? There's been times where, we had a lot of issues, nobody's perfect. And I think because of society and because of what I did for a living and how people view me or viewed me as being, a married man or having children. I mean, I've had young men and my peers tell me, man, um, man, you're Black history, man. You're a young Black man. I mean, you got your kids by one woman. you're doing all these different things. So I think sometimes those accolades, though it's good, it also becomes pressure
Yeah.
because now you're trying to live up to a standard that may not be there anymore.
Exactly.
Right. And think about that. You're trying to you're putting yourself in a box, and sometimes you're trying to make things work for the sake of the kids, for the sake of the world, for the sake of society. And many people stay in situations and they're not really happy. So now you find yourself just existing in that environment and not really flourishing. And not, and in my men's group, when I talk to some of the guys that's in there, I have guys who divorced their wives, and they've been divorced by their wives. And you hear situations like we talk about with relationships where nobody want to be the one to say goodbye.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
want to be the one to say, people want to say he left me or she left me. Nobody want to be the one to say, no, I divorced her. No, I divorced him, because of the possibility of what may happen down the line. They make it successful. Now it's like, oh shoot, I should have stayed.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the one thing I love about my mother and how we talk is, and we talk real about all things. And talking to her about her situation and just guys in my men's group, when we're talking about relationships and we're talking about marriages and we're talking about children, it's okay to be the one to walk away. It's okay to choose you. A lot of times we feel guilty putting ourselves first, putting our peace first, putting our clarity first. And one of my friends told me something that was so profound. He said, man, I really love my family when I divorced my wife. He said, but I just felt like I could not be the man that I needed to become with her, and she couldn't be the woman she needed to become with me.
Right.
And we had kids, and he divorced her. And I was like, man, that had to be tough. You know what I'm saying? And it was tough initially, he said, but now they both are flourishing. He's happy, she's happy, and the kids are resilient. Kids are going to, bounce back. And the kids is enjoying seeing mommy and daddy both happy.
In a healthy space and place. And it's true, because sometimes I always say that I love what Bishop said just now too. I read what Bishop said. But I will honestly say that
Let me go to it.
I will honestly say that I still was in love and loved my husband when I filed for divorce. I chose myself. You know what I mean? I chose my peace. It had nothing to do with love, because I still, like you said, still loved and cared for him. And I still do want the best for him in his life. But I had to choose my peace so that I could be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, in all aspects. So sometimes you do have to make those really tough decisions for yourself and for your health.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all dropping some comments, and I like this.
I
think
love
it's
it.
selfish to stay with someone I no longer want to be with. However, prior to getting married, you should be able to pay your bills yourself. Yeah, it's important to be self-sufficient. It's important to make sure, and that's the other thing. People stay because of finances.
Yeah.
Like I always said that, my mother always taught me since I was young, maybe not remember this, you always taught me that you want to give a woman an option.
Yeah.
Like when you marry a woman, you want to give her an option to want to either work or be a stay-at-home mom to raise the kids.
Right.
Right. And that's why I work so hard and hustle. Right. But, it was a blessing that, 2024, Sharon was able to stay home the whole year.
Right.
That was a blessing for her and for me. Now, because, I took an L on some money, but nevertheless, God still provided. She was able to stay home for a whole entire year and not work.
Right.
Many people can't say that. So as a man, and that's what my mother instilled in me growing up, like as a man, you got to be able to provide. Don't get with a woman if you can't provide and you can't court and you can't do the proper things for her.
That's right.
But things go twofold. And my mother has counseled us before and said, hey, as a man, these are your roles. As a woman, these are your roles. If your husband is working, doing such X, Y, and Z, as a wife, you should make sure dinner's on the table. You should make sure the kids is, put up. And, what I'm saying? Just everybody has a role to play.
Everybody has a role. And that's one, and I'm not getting into all of the differences in society and way they think today, because that's another conversation. We need to have a podcast on that one.
Right.
How things have changed with us. But I've always told my sons, like, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids because I wanted to really take the time to read to my kids, go to the park with my kids, and really make an impact in their life. And I think it's hard to do those things when you're working full time and you're trying to be a mom. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it because obviously we have some super moms out here that's knocking it out the box. But my personal belief was, if a woman wanted to stay home and raise her children, she should have that option. And I would tell my son that when he got ready to get married, are you ready for that responsibility? Because what if Sharonda wants to stay home and raise the kids? Are you able to provide for that? I mean, and life happens at times, and then sometimes you got to do what you have to do. But it's just nice to have that option to make an impact on the kids' lives.
Yeah, and I think about that, and we talked about that, Sharonda and I. If we could do it again, not saying we regret the situation of getting married, but if we could do it again, we talked about we would have waited. You got to think about it. I was 19 years old.
Right.
She was 20 years old,
Right.
And we talked about that. We wasn't ready. We both was like, we should have went to school and traveled and did certain things,
Right,
but
right.
We're grateful for our children,
Yes.
but it's just those type of situations like people talked about in the comments, you have to be ready and willing. I thank God for my mom and her dad and my grandmother, because it truly takes a village, because Lord have mercy, did we need help? And they still help us, right? Her mom still gets the kids for us sometimes from school. So,
Meals.
And she brings meals to the kids,
Right.
when she picks them up. So it truly takes a village to, raise children. It truly takes a
Yes.
village to get this stuff done, because you truly can't do it alone.
Oh man. And if you try, you're going to burn out. You know what I mean? So if you have the help, embrace the help, you know what I mean? And be thankful for the help. So I have an audience question. Let me think. I have so many here. Well, we said that already. Have you ever lost someone because your pride was too big to apologize? That's for the audience.
Yeah,
Have you?
I do want to accept call-ins. My boy said we need to do call-ins. I do need to figure out how
We
to do
need
that.
some help with that, guys.
Yeah, if y'all know somebody with this podcast stuff, y'all come and help us out. You know what I'm saying? We want to bring people on the
We
show.
do.
And those that want to come here to the podcast studio and jump on, y'all, hit us up. Have you come through?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because if you want to come in, we are open to have you come into the studio to join us. But if you guys know how to because every time I get off this podcast, someone is calling me saying, man, I want to be able to get on the phone and talk to you guys and jump on with you guys. So if you guys know how to do that, help us out. We want that too. We want the interaction with you guys, because this is a hot topic, because this is about people.
Go ahead.
People may be in relationships now before you have the kids, and they're thinking like, oh, I don't know if this is the person for me. Maybe this conversation tonight is for you, because if you really feel like I'm not sure and you could avoid having the children, man, avoid having the kids and make sure, try to make sure that, when you think about all of the aspects of a relationship and a marriage is kind of intact. You can never know everything, but be thinking about that when you raise children, because it does make the dynamics so much harder once the kids come.
This is a good one. Dr. Delisha, who's also a licensed therapist.
Oh, man.
So shout out to her. She said that sometimes divorce saves families.
Wow. Snap on that.
Yeah.
Snap on that.
Yeah. And that's good, because, and going back to what you said when it comes to divorce and situations like that, what biblically, what people would say, no, stick it through, stay in it, don't stop, don't quit, keep praying. And what if the woman's being abused, or what if the man's being abused? I mean, not just talking about physically. What if he's being verbally abused? What if he or she feel like they can't grow with the person, like you said, and the kids is seeing the brunt of that.
Right. And it can create a hostile environment where, they are angry now. I can honestly, and I won't say what daughter said this to me, because I won't put them on Front Street. Thank God I got multiple kids, One of my daughters said to me, and I'll never forget, we were sitting down, I think in a car, and she said, Mommy, you should have divorced Daddy X amount of years ago. And because she was very angry, she felt like she had to do some things to help me in the areas of my life, and it just made her angry. So, we don't realize sometimes we think we're staying for the children, but unfortunately, like the doctor said, you can save your child. when they see you in the most healthy spot, mom and dad. You know what I mean? When they see you thriving and happy and you're not always yelling and being bitter. And, when you're miserable, you can't be your best self when you're miserable. When you're upset and you're hurting, you might stay in your room too long. You might tap the bottle of wine too much. All those things happen a lot of times because you're not happy with yourself. But when you're in a happy place, then you're going to be a better person and a better parent.
That's true. Darren said, "How do you feel about the husbands? I guess he meant stay at home, raising the kids, and the wife goes out and make the money for the family."
I think that works. I think that whatever's going to be best for the family definitely is what you do. Whatever's going to be best for your household was what you do. Now, would I want that? No. I'm just kidding. No, but whatever's going to be best for your household is what works. You know what I mean? But when my children were young, personally, I felt like I had so much to give them that I just wanted to be there with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't even want them to go nowhere on the weekends. Like a lot of times my mom, shout out to my mother, she wanted the kids a lot. But I'd be like, oh, okay, because I wanted to make such an impact in their lives.
Yeah, make sure they have a plan for their future, and you should have the same. Yeah, absolutely. You got to have a plan for your future, regardless of what's going on. But man, this is a great topic.
It really
I have
is.
so many questions for the audience. I have so many questions for you. I have so many questions for myself. Because it is true, and you hear people say, if I didn't have kids, would I have been in a situation or been married to this person for so long?
Let me say this too, because a lot of people will use the kids to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just say that, 'cause I've seen that happen countless times, that women or men will say it's my kids because really they're really afraid to pull the trigger because they don't even really know how to make it by themselves. They're so codependent on that person, even in the dysfunction. They become codependent in the dysfunction. So a lot of times people will just say they're too afraid to say that I'm too afraid to leave. So then they'll use the kids. I'm staying for these kids, man. But really they're afraid to leave. They're afraid to really grow up and be a woman and man in their own skin without the help. And sometimes people are addicted to dysfunction.
Yeah. That's true. And sometimes, and I hear this in, the men's group, and I keep referencing the men's group because we really have some deep, powerful conversations in there. But I've heard men say that, they feel like the wife don't want them, but they don't want anybody else to have them.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
So because of that, they rather stay, and vice versa. They don't want their wife to be happy with someone else. I don't want her to be happy. I don't want her to be with nobody else. So I'd rather stay with her and cheat on her, right? But at least now I have the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? And that happens a lot,
Okay. All right. So absolutely that happens a lot.
Or I'd rather cheat on him and have the best. But these are real conversations that really happen in real life in real time.
Absolutely. I think, like I say, the dysfunction sometimes become overwhelming and the fear becomes overwhelming. But there is such beauty on the other side sometimes. When you're in a healthy space and place, like I said, you're such a better parent and your kids thrive a lot. But I wanted to jump on to,
Let me ask you this before you jump into that.
Okay.
Is the grass greener on the other side?
In what reference? To being lonely or being by yourself?
I'm just saying. People say, it's cheaper to keep her, happy wife, happy life. But there's never no type of slogans for the man. Just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? It's always the woman. But what I'm saying is people say, it's not, the grass not always green on the other side. You know what you got at home. Yes, it may be frustrated with him or with her. Yes, it may be inconvenience. Yes, you may not be happy per se, but go to counseling, go to therapy, go to church, pray about it. But I'm asking you, for someone who's been on both sides, is the grass greener, or the possibility is the grass greener on the other side versus staying?
I think absolutely. I think there are times the grass is greener, and then sometimes I think the grass is black, because I think some people jump out of their relationships too soon. They don't put the work in it. I think that a marriage is worth fighting for. I think a family is worth fighting for, but you have to weigh the dynamics. Everything is situational. So, there is times when there's abuse there, physical abuse, mental abuse. Did I say physical? Yeah. Okay, physical, mental. abuse and emotional abuse that's there. Well, no, you get out of that, because abuse is abuse. I mean, I think there are times people feel like if it's physical, you get out. But if it's emotional, if it's this, you can stay in. No, I think it weighs you down. One is weighing you down on the outside with the bruises, and the other one is weighing you down with the inside with the bruises, but the bottom line is abuse.
So what would you constitute as emotional abuse?
Oh, I think somebody who is not, who disregards your feelings on every aspect of your marriage. I think there was a female that I knew that she was in a marriage and she was in a relationship, and she was really in a relationship with just papers. Like, he didn't come home at night. He didn't, want to help her out with the children. He didn't want to pay the bills. He just was, he would come home at some point, but he didn't put the work into the marriage in any type of relationship, son. I'm talking about marriage. I'm talking about friendship. I'm talking about any type of relationship you have, be it even in the church, in your marriage, with your friends. It takes two people putting the work in it. If a person is not putting the work in it and they're calling you names and they're doing things that's really hurting you and putting you down all the time, that weighs on you as an individual. And after the years, it can create something that's really negative in you. So I think emotional abuse is extremely damaging, because a lot of times you're on the outside smiling, you're looking really good, but inside you're dying, you know what I mean? Because you don't want the world to see. At least with a black eye, the whole world knows, okay, your husband's beating you, your wife is beating you, you know what I mean? The whole world knows that. But when you are emotionally abused, because people look at that sometimes to be not a big deal. Like, oh, come on, you a man or you a woman. Somebody's yelling at you, you go over there crying. You're so weak, you know what I mean? Right. People say that now, but it does weigh you down a lot of times. So I think that, you have to weigh it individually. But I will say, and I state that tonight, I don't believe in people running away from marriages because you have some challenges. I think you should fight, but you have to weigh things out, the whole thing. You have to weigh it. It's definitely situational. It's no one right or wrong. It's definitely situational.
That's good. I didn't mean to cut you off from your question, but please ask that question.
I was going to say, have you ever been with that person that you really, we're going to get off marriage just for a little bit and just get into relationships. When you meet that person and you really, really like them and you're connecting with them, and for some reason, for whatever the reason, you're afraid to say it. You're just walking around acting like you don't like the person, acting like you don't want to be with the person. You're not valuing the person when you're with them. You're not treating them the right way. And then when the person leaves, it's like, what just happened?
Right.
So I think, I think we need to really talk about, even be talking about marriages, but what leads up to marriages is relationships, right? So how are we treating the people that we're dating in our relationships? You know what I mean? And are we making foolish decisions while we're dating, trying to get to a marriage that sometimes make us lose the love of our lives behind foolishness?
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with people, when you lose the person that, like you said, and that's pride, right?
Right.
I think it's pride. When you love someone or you like someone, and now it's like, I don't want to tell them because I don't want to. You hear people say, "Oh yeah, I would have told you, but I was afraid of what you might say." You might, right. And it really comes down to rejection too.
Oh my God, say it
people
again.
People don't want to be rejected. So because I don't want to be rejected, I'm not going to really divulge my emotions and my feelings to you because I'm afraid of how you may feel and what you may say towards me. So because I don't want to be hurt, because I don't want to go through a period of what you may say negatively, I'd rather not express my feelings. And what if the other person put the same way? So now both of you are not communicating. And I think the situation when you lose someone is this. Some of us don't miss the person. We miss who we were with them.
Sometimes status and stuff.
The status.
Right.
The money.
Big house.
The house. The cars. So a lot of times, like you said, a lot of us we miss the things. We miss the convenience. We miss the comfort. But we're not really happy being with the individual. But it's like, give me everything else but you.
Right. Keep on paying these bills. Right. Keep on paying this car note, but just leave me the heck alone.
Right.
I was being nice tonight. I was going to say something else.
You didn't say
I didn't say the real thing. Yeah, it's like I think some people do not want to lose the stuff.
Right.
They don't want to lose the house. And it's like, man, I'm going to, if we divorce, we're going to have to sell a house. Now where am I going to go? And I will say this too. I was going to say it earlier. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of times, especially with women, and I'll be bold enough to say it, when you reach a certain age as a woman, it's almost embarrassing not to have been married.
Yeah.
The world sometimes judge you.
What's wrong with her?
Yeah, like why nobody took, why she never got married? Why nobody put a ring on her hand? And so sometimes it's like, I don't want to lose. It seems sometimes a kind of a trophy to say, oh, when somebody's asking you questions, like, oh, my husband said this. Oh, let me talk to my husband. People wear it like a badge. My husband. I will say, and I will admit this out loud tonight because I'm just that transparent. I remember the first time I couldn't say that no more. Like, I was like, I don't got nobody to say no more. And like, are you married? No. But I'll say I'm divorced. But at least I did feel a little better saying I was married before, because I'm telling you, it comes with sometimes an unspoken word as a woman when we reach a certain age, never to have been married. And also, when you're single too long, it's almost like, well, dang, you're going to become an old biddy in the house. That's woman and man.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're single too long, it's like, okay, now you're getting very comfortable being by yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't encourage that. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to be with somebody, but I will never say that it's good to be alone. I think that it's something about, and I don't mean just a boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm just talking about being around community and people. Don't get to the point where you get so tired of life that you just get comfortable being by yourself, because something happens to you when you're not around other humans. So don't get comfortable with that.
Yeah, now that's true. It's almost like people that retire and they die when they retire because you stop moving, you stop existing, you stop interacting with people. It's so important, like you said. Man, you said so much this night. You said so much that was so good. But like you said, one of the things I want to highlight is when you have a woman, for example, who is single too long, or who's never been married, society does look at them like, what's wrong with her?
Right.
Why nobody would, oh, she's crazy, or she's this, or she's that. And it could be true, right? Some of y'all that might be a little crazy, I was playing. But same thing for men too. He has commitment issues, or why is she running, or why is he running? And I think it's important to find people and to find a community that can help you identify stuff like that.
Yes.
Because a lot of times it deals with trauma. It deals with hurt. And I always say, my famous line is, if you don't heal where you're going, it's so profound. If you don't heal where you're going, then you will bleed on people that never cut you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I like that.
Because it's like you're bleeding on people that never even cut you, but it's like the person that cut you, the person that hurt you is no longer there. And that's why it's so important to practice forgiveness. It's so important to, I just did this exercise with somebody. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Absolutely.
I always say, when dealing with forgiveness, you got people who's been hurt years ago. And we talk about that a lot of times with trauma. People are still stuck at the little girl, at the little boy. They're still stuck at 16 and they're now 45. They still stuck at all those instances, those past hurt that they haven't overcame.
Right.
And it's so important and the exercise we did is you have to physically call the person to forgive them. And I know it's hard. I know it's tough. But the type of release you get from doing that will literally change your mind and change the way you feel, because just let it go, release it.
Right.
And I know it's easier said than done, right? But that's why it takes a community of people to help coach you and guide you through practices like that, because you're keeping yourself in bondage.
Oh, you absolutely are. And it's so vital, important to forgive and release, because sometimes when you're in the dysfunction, sometimes you're like, you're just circling around in that dysfunction. And sometimes you don't even realize you're in dysfunction. But when you get out and you look back, it's like, hey, it wasn't just that person. It was me too. Trust me, women and men tonight, in a marriage, it takes two to tango. It's never just one person. It's the both of yous. You know what I mean? Okay, did I sound like I was from New York? The both of yous? Okay. But it's the both of yous. It's not just one person. Look, my granddaughter's laughing. She's laughing at me. She loves her Gigi. She's like, we have our live audience here. It takes two to tango. So as I will definitely say, when you're in dysfunction, sometimes getting out and then looking back in, it's like, oh, I have a lot that I was doing wrong. Because like you said, a lot of times your past is driving and navigating your new relationship and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's controlling everything.
Yeah, you have to forgive and let go. You know what I mean? You have to find a space and a place where you can go to release, let go, and breathe.
I do have a question, and y'all know we try to keep these podcasts short because people have a short attention span, so we don't want to we don't want to go too long on these. But it's like I have so many notes in here that, as y'all know, we prepare notes for y'all, right? But these type of topics are so organic that we could just flow without even looking at notes.
You better believe that.
But I do, and we are over our time, okay? But I do want to ask this question. Do your biggest regrets come from the things you did or the things you didn't do?
In marriage?
Just
or in
in
life?
general. And I'm going to ask that to you guys too. Did your biggest regrets come from the things you did or the things you did not do? Whatever that means to you.
Well, definitely, I would say my regret is the things I did not do and the things I did. You know what I mean? So I would have to say it's twofold for me because I regret sometimes when I was angry in general, the things that I said to people that I can never take back, the damage that I did with my tongue. Because, honey, when I get angry, this tongue can get wicked. So I will definitely say, my kids know that, right? I would definitely say I do regret that because I needed to have more self-control and things that I've also said to people in a fit of anger. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to lash out. But now I will definitely say I've learned through therapy how to control that, and I'll just walk away.
Yeah. Okay, somebody said both. Angie said both.
Yeah.
I think, for me,
too, both. Thank
I
you.
always think about that Les Brown story with the ghosts around your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I got to share it because it just dropped in my spirit.
Right.
And it ties into this so well, right? And he talks about a man that was on his deathbed, and surrounded by his deathbed was all the ghosts. And it was the ghost of his past, the ghost of his future, the ghost of all his dreams. And they said, we came to you because we was here to bring you life more abundantly. All the things that you pray for, God sent us here for you. But because of your fear, because of your lack of determination, because of your ability to listen and be focused and listening to the naysayers, right? Now we have to die with you.
Wow.
And every time I think about that, I get emotional thinking about it, and that's why I be going so hard because I don't want no ghost from my deathbed.
Right.
I want the angel to say, "Listen, well done, my son. You did everything I told you to do." You know what I'm saying? But I think about that because so many people have regrets.
Right.
So many people have fears. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I move? Should I buy this house? Should I, should I buy this car? Should I go to this school? Should I be this person? And we had this topic, growing up, and I was my brother's age, in the African culture, they decide what, you should do, i.e. become a nurse or a doctor. But in a European culture, we have the ability to say, I want to be, a trash man, which is perfectly fine, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to work at McDonald's, and all those is fine if that's what you choose to do. If that's what you
Right.
believe God called you to do, you do that.
Right.
But, the pressure of having society tell you what you should do, the pressure of wanting to
What's
walk
success,
against,
right?
of wanting to walk against the current and deeming what is success. That's pressure, and having all that is it causes confusion.
Yeah, it can. And it can beat you down. It can beat you down a lot but I think, God, that's something that I'm trying to think, is any of my kids like that? I don't know yet with Sammy yet because I still have, he's still young. But I will say that I thank God that, maybe I was born like this, I don't know. But I thank God that I've never allowed society to really necessarily really navigate my life totally. I will say, like I said earlier, there were times when I was very questionable on what people thought about certain things in my life. So the question, I love what you said about the ghost. So do we build our life, or have you built a cage? You know what I mean? Because you can build your life, or you can build yourself in a cage and don't let nobody in. And don't let nobody in, and you really can't get out because you surrounded yourself in a cage.
Yeah.
So you really have to be bold enough, walking against the current, to say, I choose me sometimes. You cannot live your life for other people and what people think about you and what others say about you. You have to sometimes walk against the current, even if the world is calling you crazy or saying you shouldn't do that. Because I heard that 25 years in a marriage, you're going to walk away. 25 years. Think about that. That's a long time. That was absolutely, at that time when I divorced my husband, it was more than half of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was more I had been married longer in terms of my, you know what I mean? I was like trying to think. It wasn't even half of my life at that time. So
Right.
what I'm saying is, so it wasn't an easy task to do in all four corners of what the world would say, your pastor, my mama, or whoever, you know what I mean, will say.
People closest to you.
Absolutely. So I had to walk against the current for Elizabeth. And sometimes you have to walk against the current for yourself, because you can't be the best parent, friend, mother, daughter, son if you're living in misery. You just can't be, because you're not happy. So sometimes walking against the current for yourself, but don't ever forget to look back and still love and still forgive and still say, I'm still going to be the best parent and the best friend to you. You know what I mean? Because I'll be honest with you, I will do anything for my ex-husband because he's not my enemy. You know, we still have a family. We have grandchildren now, children, you know what I mean? So we shouldn't have to ever be to a place where I can't speak to you. I have forgiven him. I pray that he has forgiven me. And now we understand we're in this new level now. We're still family. We're just not married.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you walk against the current in life, you know, be bold and strong enough to say, if I need to do this, and it's not just with a husband and wife, it's even with a job. You know, if I need to walk away from my peace, you have to do that. You have to do that for yourself. So, I mean, choosing happiness and we always talk about dis-ease can create disease. So you don't want to create those diseases for yourself because you're constantly living in a state of dis-ease.
Yeah. And that's where I've been lately. And I think in a state of dis-ease, like I call my mom, be like, I woke up, I got chest pain. So I woke up today with a headache.
Right.
I took 2 shots of apple cider vinegar.
I'm going to make you a hottie toddy tonight before you leave. You know, mama knows best and stuff.
I was like, Lord have mercy. I'm
stressed.
I'm stressed. You know, I'm like,
There's
yo,
nothing to play around with.
This is crazy. I'm like, man, and somebody told me today, oh man, you working so hard.
Don't repeat
it.
Don't,
oh, okay, I ain't gonna
don't
say that.
say it. Don't say it.
But it was something, he was joking, but it was something negative, right?
Right.
Talking about the power of the tongue. I said, I rebuke that. I got long life in Jesus' name.
Absolutely.
You know, but he was joking. He was joking.
He was definitely joking, but I tell you what, I don't want to.
But the things that people say, sometimes we speak death on ourselves and death on other people. Don't realize what we're saying because we're joking, you know. But yeah, but question, are you happy now?
I am happy. I'll be honest with you. At first, I was, when I first divorced, and I'll say it short, I know we passed that time. But yes, I am happy because I chose my peace. And it's nothing like it. And I honestly will say sometimes like, damn, why didn't I do this earlier? You know, like why? You know, but yes, to answer the question in short without going into long details, I am happy. I am very happy and I have my peace. And I thank God for that. The joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah, you know, regret is expensive, but growth is priceless.
Say that one more time.
Regret is expensive, but growth is priceless.
Absolutely. I have so much notes. We need to do a part 2 to this.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2.
We got to do a part 2 because I got so much. And maybe by that time we can figure out how to answer calls. And we're going to be working on that. We're going to try to work on that this week so we can figure out how to answer calls.
Yeah, no promises. Remember, we're on 3 different platforms. So, like, if we answer a call on Facebook, then TikTok and Instagram can't hear you because you're on that platform.
Well, maybe I can repeat it or something. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out, you know, of how to get y'all on here. Or we might just go to one platform. Make y'all just come to one platform and kind of tune in that way. I don't know.
Or if you know some way we can combine them all, then we can do that too.
Yeah, all y'all on here know about social media.
Technology,
y'all come on
help
here and
us out,
man. Help us out. Y'all see how busy we are. Help us out. You know what I'm saying? Help us out. If y'all enjoy the show, help us out. You know what I'm saying? Drop some hearts on here. Let us put some hearts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Drop some hearts on here.
Shout out to everybody that's commenting. Darren's on tonight. I mean, I see a lot of people on tonight. So shout out to all of you guys. We thank you for your support. And remember, I mean, I know he got a closer.
Oh,
I know he got a closer. I know he got a closer. So I just wanted to give my shout outs to everybody that joined tonight, family, my sisters, my friends, and my family. We thank all of y'all.
Well, my closure is going to be very simple. Don't let your life become a list of I wish I would have. Let it be a story of I'm glad I did it.
Okay. I love that. Don't say I wish I would have. Don't do that. Don't do that. So again, y'all.
Do you got one? You got a closer?
I think I did, but I think what you said is really, really kind of what I was going to say too. Like, don't live your life in regret. Is what I was going to say.
Yeah. Don't live your life in regret. Love more, pray more, forgive more, And please, as always, walk against the current. We love y'all. Peace.
Peace.